All right, there's the Ant-Man.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Well, welcome back to everyone here, and hopefully everyone had a happy Thanksgiving and didn't gorge yourself too much on turkey like I did. That was a bad idea. Anyway, and also did I don't see any of the new people on here, but we had a bunch of new people jump on the Black Friday special. Well, there's Glenn there, so he's a Black Friday specialist. But it's hard to believe, when I do these calls, I get probably about 4% of our members show up on any given call. So it's you guys are in the top 4%.
Yay!
So it kind of shuffles, not everybody's on every week, but it seems like I get about 4% of the active members on here at any given time. And that's something also, if you guys are looking at doing membership sites and offering, this type of support, which is a great way to go. I mean, this is a huge value to offer to members. Like whatever you do, whatever you provide, you can get your members and your followers to actually pay for this type of support because, this is really invaluable. If you look at the cost of this, you could not get this type of support anywhere for the price that I offer it. So I highly recommend that you model that, because you can get a large following of people that will pay to have access to this type of support, even though they don't use it. They might come on once a month. I've got people that come on once a year. But when they come on that one time a year and they have that problem, it more than makes up for the cost of the entire year. I have professional SEO guys that are, some of them are pretty top ranked guys, and they belong to this, and they will hop on here when all hell breaks loose. and it's well worth it to them to find out, the real deal, what to do, instead of going on to the forums and listening to the whiners and the criers and the speculators and, the information that will typically get you in a lot of trouble. So anyway, that's the thing. If you guys are struggling for an ongoing recurring service, this could be something really good for you. It's very low cost to run. You can run a Zoom account very inexpensively. I think it's less than $100 a year to run a professional Zoom meeting like this and be able to record it and have the content. That's another thing. This creates great content. I have a guy in the Philippines that every week after we do the call, I upload it to YouTube, and then he goes up, he has access to my YouTube account, and he goes through almost like he's transcribing it, but he pulls all the bullets out. Like he will make a description on the YouTube video of the contents of the call. So if you guys go into the archive, you'll notice if you're looking for something in particular, you can look at the description and see what we talked about on each call. So if it's important to you, then you can watch that video in the archive. I found that before, when I was not doing that, the archive was kind of useless. I mean, there was a ton of content there, but you didn't know what any of it was. So for you to go through, hundreds of hours of calls just to get a few nuggets, that didn't really make sense. So we switched to that model. We've done a lot of updates and a lot of upgrades in the last year, in the creation of the ACT program, adding that in as content. It's not really a bonus. It's a foundation. Regardless whether you're doing SEO or marketing or just trying to grow your business, that foundation is the way that you convert. And if you can't convert, if you have a business that doesn't convert, you don't really have a business. All of the stuff that we look to as why we're in business, the freedom, all the freedoms that you guys look for and enjoy, all of those freedoms come from an actual business. And when I talk about a business, a lot of us have created businesses that are not really what I consider businesses. They're what I call a job. You know, and if that's you, then you might want to take a look at the ACT program, because a lot of what the premise of it is to get you to freedom. You know, there's an actual lesson in there called the freedom formula, of figuring out what freedom looks like for you, what it costs. You know, what do you have to make to get to that point in your business to where you could take off for a week, you could take off for a month, and you're not worried about your business imploding. You know, I don't think too many people can literally do that. Not too many people can just say, hey, I'm going to go vacation for a month and I'm not going to worry about my business. You know, most people, if they did that, their business wouldn't even be there when they got back. You know, and that's what I call a job. You know, and if that's the case, you know, you're probably working way more than you were when you had a job. You're probably making less and you've got less benefits. So, you know, that's not what we want to strive for. We want to strive for an actual business that has recurring income from multiple sources. When you have a business that has recurring income from multiple sources, that's what it's all about. And that's leading me into one of the most important pieces of the ACT program, which is called the big idea. When you guys come up with whatever product or service, or, you know, whatever your business is offering, the way you grow it, the way you scale it, is what's called the big idea. And you can have multiple big ideas. Big ideas are ad campaigns, basically. It's the front end of an ad campaign. It's like the attention grabber. And if you want to scale a particular product or service, then you need more big ideas. One big idea doesn't do it. You know, most people think, hey, I've got this product, I'm going to sell it in this way, and that's it. You know, game over. And, you know, sometimes that works, but it never works as good as it could. If you had two ways to sell the same thing, and you had possibly two different audiences, two different messages that match those audiences, you could potentially double what you're doing now. You know, now, if you've got one of those things called the job, that's not a good thing. You know, if you're working, if you're doing time for dollars, you only have so much time and you can only make so many dollars. and the problem with that is that's basically an anti-freedom formula. Because if you're consumed with making dollars by time, you're giving away one of the most important pieces of freedom, which is time. You know, if you're going to have true freedom, it's both time and money. You know, you've got to have them both. If you're missing one or the other, that's not freedom. Because if you could have all the money in the world, if you didn't have any time to enjoy it, that's not very pleasurable. That's not freedom. You know, if you had all the time in the world, but you had no money to do anything, again, so you can see you need both of those things. There is nothing at all against time for money, as long as the figures are right. Like, you know, in my business, I try my best to automate almost everything. Anything I do, I make sure it's got a recurring model to it, and it doesn't require a tremendous amount of my time. Like when I do private consulting, it's $1,000 an hour, you know, and people are blown away by that I actually get that amount. But it's not worth it to me to do it for any less than that, you know, because it's taking away my time. And you guys think, wow, you know, an hour for $1,000, that, you know, that's crazy. But to me, that's what it's worth. You know, if you're going to take an hour out of my life, what's that worth? You guys should be thinking, you know, in that fashion. So, you know, in your business, another thing that I've found too, and this keeps coming back whenever I get into a situation where I'm really busy, I'm doing a lot of stuff, and I look at it and I'm like, you know, most of the stuff is not income generating. You know, I'm spinning my wheels, I'm doing a lot of stuff that's not generating money. and it's taking my time. That's a horrible piece of the puzzle if you have that scenario in your business. So every time I get into that, I realize, and whether this happens occasionally, every time we get on a run, we'll get into a rut. A run is typically followed by a rut in any business, and mine's no different. So when I get to that point where I'm doing a lot of stuff, I look back and I realize the less I do, the more I make. And what I mean by that is the more I offset to other people, like I've got outsourcers in the Philippines, I've got outsourcers in India. And whenever I start doing too much, I realize, hey, I shouldn't be doing this stuff. Those guys should be doing this stuff because they need a job. They want a job. They're not looking for freedom, like I am. So the more I offload, the less I do, the more time I have for income generating, opportunities, and I wind up making a ton more money. So, this is just a little lesson in mindset, just to help you guys out. We're going into the new year, and I want everybody to really, a lot of people didn't get what they wanted out of this year. So next year, I want it to be different for everyone. So I'm just trying to get you guys on the right track to make that happen. So anyway, if it sounds obscure, it probably is. It's just kind of some thoughts off the top of my head. If anybody has anything you want me to address specifically, go ahead and, hop out, interrupt me at any time. But
good speech. Good speech, John.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Anthony. I'm here to motivate you guys because it's kind of self-indulgent. I want more great testimonials, and I know I can get them. I know every one of you guys I could turn into a winner in the next year, and you could give me a phenomenal testimonial. So I am.
Oh, you're gonna get it anyhow.
Yeah, I am kind of driven and a little bit greedy here in this factor of I want you guys to win. I want every one of you to, at this time next year, we should all be having a toast and a party. That's what I want out of this deal. So
I'm planning on it already, John.
I know you are, and you got a great one. You're sitting on top of a rocket ship. We just got to put the fuel in and light the candle.
Well, when you're ready, I have my progress report to give you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we'll hop in on that here in a bit. So anybody else? Does anybody have any questions, or are you stuck on something?
Yeah, John, I do.
I had a question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, thanks, Anthony. So John, yeah, and everybody, I'm obviously new. Last week was my first week, and I will be one of those rare people who I will probably be on every Thursday, unless I'm in a plane traveling. But the thing, like John, you and I had talked a little bit about my depth ketosis plan, and with what you're talking about with the big idea, there's obviously many different avenues at which I should be running these lead magnets to get into that.
Yep.
But should I not even bother with that until you saw that I had really good results on the lead magnet, but really very poor results on the after that. So do I wait until I see that next level of results improve before I start creating multiple big ideas, or?
Well, big ideas, here's the thing with big ideas. Big ideas will come and go. They will come in, they'll pop into your head all the time. And you want to make sure that you capture them.
Okay.
Don't ever let a good big idea get away from you.
Okay.
Whether you're going to jump on it right now or you're going to jump on it 6 months from now, make sure you document it. Because truly, every big idea that you can bring into the fold, it will make money. If it's a good big idea and it resonates with your audience, it's a moneymaker. So don't let it slip away. I cannot tell you how many times I've woken up in the morning and had a great one and I didn't write it down. and then come evening, I'm like, oh shit, what was that? And I can't get it back. It's like gone. So I just got one of these new S9 phones, the Galaxy S9, and I was playing around with it. I was over at Catalina. We took a day and we hopped over to Catalina, and everybody wanted to go parasailing, and that just wasn't my thing. So I wound up cruising out on the pier, and I sat on the end of the pier, and it was so peaceful. It was like I fell into like a meditation. I was sitting on the end of the pier, just listening to the water go under me, and it was really cool. And as I was sitting there, I had my eyes closed, and I had stuff was just going through my head, just great ideas. And I'm like, holy shit, if I don't get this, if I don't, I didn't have anything to write with. And I thought, shit, I could start texting this stuff to myself. So I pull out my phone, and I noticed there was an app on there called Speak Notes. And the coolest thing, I hit this app, and I hit the button, and I just started talking. I just started spewing my thoughts down, and it's writing them out like 10 times faster than I could have texted. And then at the end, I hit share and emailed it to myself. And I'm like, wow, that is really powerful. And I keep this thing, like, I know you're not supposed to do this, but I keep this at the side of my bed. So if I wake up at night, I have a notepad. So again, like, big ideas, they're priceless. If you get a really good one. Now, let me just kind of go over what a big idea is. And if you guys have questions or anything, or you want me to stop and go a different direction, just hop out and yell at me anytime.
And when you finish, John, I want to add into something he said also. So I'll wait till you finish and I'll add in.
Okay. All right. Write it down so you don't forget it like I do. but big ideas, it's like, if you haven't gone through the lesson on big ideas, it's in the content, or it's in the creation section inside ACT. I would really encourage you guys to listen to the video I did, and I put a worksheet in there. I actually put a tutorial, and it gives you examples of really good big ideas, and it shows you how to formulate them. It shows you how to create the interest and the intrigue piece, how to connect it to your unique mechanism. If you guys haven't gone through the training, the training in ACT is absolutely priceless. Getting the idea, getting the concept of how the whole system works, it will give you goggles to look at business differently. You will see everything as a different opportunity, and it will help you in everything that you do. I can guarantee that. You will start looking, you'll start becoming aware of different segments and what they need. And your product can more than likely serve multiple segments. It can serve a multitude of different avatars. But the problem is, you try and just blow it out to one. You'll try and fit one big idea into everything. And that doesn't work. It'll only work fractionally. So if you have an ad campaign that's working fractionally, that's going to be really expensive. That's the case where, if you're running a bunch of ads and you're getting a fractional conversion, that is just so expensive. You can't afford to do that unless you're just generating a tremendous amount of profit. If you got an item like, let's say I have a client like that. He sells water parks. It's $100 million project. So we can go crazy because all we need is one sale a year and we're good. But most of you guys don't have that. You've got to actually be smart. You've got to be profitable, and you've got to do this in a way that makes sense. So having specific targets, specific messages for specific target groups of people, we call them segments. You're going to segment your niche. If you're in the weight loss niche, you're going to segment. Men are different than women. If you're targeting men and women with the same message, you're going to get a fractional percentage. If you separate and you segment your women and you separate your men and you create two different big ideas, one for each of them, I can guarantee you your results are going to quadruple. They're not going to double, they're going to quadruple or better. And same thing, if you target, let's say you've got the women bucket, now you segment that out. You're going to have women in different categories. You're going to have women that have weight from pregnancy. That's a segment. It's a different message. How much more effective would you be targeting that little specific niche with the right message, with the right big idea? You would convert like crazy. You know, so you've got, I can almost guarantee you, whatever niche you're in, you've got hundreds of segments. And you've got hundreds of big ideas that one will match. You know, there's a lid for every pot. So it's the same thing with your big ideas. So, and you don't have to have a different product. The product can serve everyone. It's the marketing. You've got to segment the marketing. If you want to convert, that's the key to conversion. You know, matching the message with the market. There's been a ton of people. I mean, I didn't come up with this. All I'm doing is deciphering it for you guys because it's been said by so many people in such an obscure way that I think most people don't get it. The ones that do get it make a shitload of money. So that's my goal, is to decipher it, put it in a language so you guys get it, so that shitload of money can be yours. So again, that's my focus and goal for 2019. So, all right, Anthony, go ahead if you remember your question. Or your,
well, I hope I get all the points. So I thought I heard you say that, you know, one of your lead magnets wasn't converting, and I'm the guy later on the funnel, I'm the traffic, so I kind of am at that end of the cycle I see. So first thing I want to say to you guys is, you know, don't keep, like John said, get the big ideas, keep them, but don't go acting until you get this one fixed. Because once you get this one fixed and running smoothly, it's a whole lot easier to clone it and then grow it versus trying to fix a bunch of them. So if you got a couple lead magnets and they're not doing things, let's look at that and let's figure out where the issue is. What's keeping it from moving to the next stage? Is it the landing page? Because a lot of what I do reviews, and a lot of what I talk to clients about is, if we can get your landing page to convert a little bit better, then your costs start to go down. You either get more leads, more sales, or your costs are going down. So by just making some tweaks and changes to the landing page itself. So that's where the issue is. If people are taking your lead magnet, but they're not jumping and making that sales transition to, let's look at that and figure out why they're not making that transition, and let's fix that. Then once you fix that, you've got a situation. John's kind of talking about it, and I had spoke to one of my clients the other day, and like I said, if your product can solve a bunch of issues, once that back end is finished and solid, then you just change that front. You know, I talk about angle of attack. But this lady, actually, what she had different symptoms that her product solved. And I was like, okay, let's fix one. Let's go out to depression. Once depression is the moving process and goes to the end result, then we can go after insomnia. Then we can go after all these other different types of symptoms that lead to her product at the end. So I would say let's fix that. The other part of why this makes sense too is, and John kind of touched on it, when your offer, when your landing page, your ad, they all speak together. Facebook particularly rewards that by giving you better rates. It's measured in frequency, it's measured in relevancy, it's measured in engagement inside of their system. So if these numbers are high enough, and they will be high because your ad looks like your landing page, the wording goes right to it, so people are clicking on it, they're sitting on it, they're engaging, all that stuff. So again, it's going to reduce your costs, either get you a better rate of return. So I'm always looking to make sure these pieces tie together very well to get the maximum result. And we try to tweak and do that, but we only tweak after we get the basic foundational stuff really working smoothly. Then we say, okay, now that this is running and it's making you chunk money, let's go to the next one and let's start it. And the piece will be saying you'll change John knows very well, you change the landing page to match the new angle, you put a new ad to match the new angle, boom, you're off and running, and it's just that fast and that quick. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Awesome. Yeah. I was just, while you were saying that, I was looking through the chat here. And Ted said he gets a lot of his big ideas while watching reruns of Mad Men. So if you guys aren't familiar, Mad Men is a program, I think it's on AMC, and it's about the ad business. And it's really the character is supposed to be David Ogilvy, who was a brilliant advertiser. He wrote ad campaigns, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s that are still working today. And he had a process, his process was the big idea. And he said an ad campaign without a big idea will pass like a ship in the night. You won't even see it. So that's why he said, you have to have a big idea attached to any ad campaign to get it seen, get it known, because it's the attention grabber, and I want to show you guys. Let me pull up and I'll share my screen so you guys can see exactly where to go if you haven't been in there. This is inside the members area. And for any of you guys that are in the old version, it looks very different than this, and I would encourage you to switch. If you want to switch, just send me an email and I'll show you how to get switched over into this. This is the one I'm supporting now and putting a lot of new cool stuff in it. And one of the things I just realized when I got in here was I just talked about the freedom formula and I forgot to put it in here. So I'm going to put it in where it says quick start, because that's really where the freedom formula belongs. It's a piece that I created when I first created the ACT formula. I ran a bunch of people through it, and there's so much to it that they couldn't get attached to it because I didn't attach it to an outcome. I just gave them the raw material. I said, hey, here's how you get to success. And they're looking at it and go like, wow, that's a lot of work. And they didn't see the outcome and the benefit. So I took a step back and I said, okay, let's do something in the beginning where we can show you what this will do for you first. And that was where I created the freedom formula lesson. And basically what it is, it's a formula of walking through what does your ideal life look like? What kind of house, if I could wave a magic wand and give you all the money you would ever want. If money wasn't an issue, what kind of house would you live in? What kind of car would you drive? How many times a week would you go out to eat? How many massages would you get a week? All of that, anything that would make your life better, what would it look like? And then we attach a cost to everything. And at the end, we have a monthly fee of, hey, this is what your dream life costs. It includes vacationing. It includes, everything. Anything you want in your life, what's the cost? We just throw it down. We come up with a number. And then we look at what you sell. And we look at the profit out of each sale after ad costs, after everything, the true profit. And then we have a number. Now we have a formula. It's how many products do we have to move to create this lifestyle? It is the freedom formula. Now, there's some nuances to that. It can't be based on time for dollars. Otherwise, how much time you have, and how many dollars you'd have to charge for each hour. So typically that won't get you to that number that you come up with for your freedom formula unless you're really conservative. and I don't want you guys to be, when you do the freedom formula, I want you to dream big. I want you to be real of, hey, truly, if I could have all the money I wanted, what would my life look like? And that's the whole point to it. The whole point of the exercise is to show you that dream isn't really far out like a lot of people think. A lot of people have been put in such a small box that they think they'll never get out of it. And unfortunately, a lot of people go through a lot of schooling, and schooling kind of puts you in that box. A day job puts you in that box, and the longer you remain in the box, the harder it is to get out. For me, I never even went in the box. There was never a box. I mean, I hated school all the way through. I did as little as possible as far as schooling went. I learned everything by doing. I got a hell of an education, I'll tell you that. And it cost me a lot. But, I never did the whole classroom thing. I hated that. I couldn't stand to be like trickle fed information. I want stuff like a fire hose. I want stuff I can take it and I can be making money with it before the sun goes down. And that's the way I've learned everything I've learned is in that way, very accelerated success. So And same thing with a day job. You know, people that get in that, they get so beat up and they get so, you know, beaten inside that box, it's hard for them to even think about what their life would look like if they weren't in the box. So that's what the whole freedom formula is about. I'm going to put that in here where it has the quick start guide. Any of these things, when you click on these, it will take you to the page. Here's the getting started. You know, you can download the entire program. I've got all the videos in there if you want to, you know, put the stuff on your desktop and go through it like that. There's a very extensive workbook. Somebody gave me a comment about the workbook the other day. They said, oh my God, the thing's over 100 pages. Well, a lot of it is redundant. Like when you get to the part where you're analyzing your competitor, you know, there's 3 or 4 pages in there for a competitor analysis. And then we've got 5 sets of those, so you can analyze 5 sets of those competitors. So it's not really as big as you think. It's just a lot of stuff in there for your convenience. And then here's you know, basically step 3, go through the training. I cannot stress enough going through the training. I got to tell you, every once in a while, I'll actually go back through my own training, and every time I do, I'm like, God damn, this is good. You know, it's like I learned stuff I forgot, and it was my stuff. You know, so I cannot stress enough going through this over and over, because every time you do, you will get more out of it. And then here's step 4 is to go live. That's where you jump into creation. You actually create your hook, create your landing page, your lead magnet, your offer, you know, all the stuff. Those are the steps to basically get this thing up and running. You know, once you're driving traffic, you know, you test it, you tweak it, you scale it. Like Glenn, you know, he tested traffic. He found that he had a really good opening rate. Got people in. They loved the lead magnet. Problem was they didn't consume it. It was too big. You know, he was giving away too big of a thing. The idea of a lead magnet is a very small, it's almost explosive. It's like a very small piece of candy. You know, so it's like, here's a great example. Okay, go into C's Candy. And I know Glenn's going to cringe at this because this is against everything in his fiber. But for the rest of you guys, you're going to get this. You go into the C's Candy store. What do? They give you a sample. It's one piece. It fits in your mouth. And then it's gone. And then what? You want more. It's like the cookie and the milk. You know, got milk? You know, because if you give somebody a cookie, that's what they're going to want next. So that's the idea of a truly good lead magnet. A lead magnet is that bite-sized piece they can put in their mouth and boom, it's gone. They loved it and they want more. So a book, not a good lead magnet. You know, that's not the best idea for a lead magnet because it's too hard. You have to consume it. Nobody's got the time to sit there and consume an entire book. You know, you want to get there, you want to pique their interest and hook them almost instantly. And then they're going to want the next piece. And as you start giving them the pieces, make sure that they're bite-sized pieces. You know, it's micro commitments, micro steps. That is the way that you're gonna convert like crazy. And every piece that you give them, everything should be marketing related. It should be market oriented, and it should be doing one of a very few things. It should either be creating demand and desire for their desired outcome, or addressing an objection. You know, because once they want something, the only thing that's getting in between you and a sale is an objection. So all of your pieces, all of your marketing should be doing one or the other of those things. Either creating demand and desire or eliminating objections. And when you start creating your stuff, if you start thinking in those terms, you're going to create an absolute blockbuster. I guarantee it. There's no way around it. So anyway, that's the quick start. You know, that's the getting started. Next, we go into analysis. Now, in analysis, there's an overview, which I think I need to do a new one. I think a lot of people get stuck in analysis, and I think it's because I didn't do a good job of the overview. I've given you guys a lot of steps on how to do these things, like the market segmentation and the avatar creation and the competitor analysis, and all of this stuff should be done in the order that it's in. Like your market segmentation, that truly is first. You've got to segment the market to understand which part of the market is the most profitable. When you figure that out, then your avatar almost magically appears. You don't have to hunt and figure out who is my avatar, because you already figured it out. It's the person that is in that profitable segment of your market. And then basically, once you have those two pieces, now you're going to go out and you're going to look at, okay, how do the competitors deal with this? What are they doing, and how can I do it better? Because if you go in with less, you're not going to win. If you go in with the same thing, you're just going to be part of the noise. You have to understand what is the status quo in the market. And that's the way that you can beat it. That's the way you can come out swinging and really knock it out of the park. So that's the analysis piece. And you do that before you start creating anything. Before you start doing social media, before you start buying web domains, before you start creating websites, before you even products. If you look at ad agencies, what they'll do a lot of times is when they're doing the analysis, they will discover products that need to be made. They'll go back to the company and say, okay, product creation department, here's what you need to make. This is the product the market wants. This is what's not being served. Create this product. We've already got the marketing campaign to sell the snot out of it. So creation should be based on analysis, every part of it. I have given some really good examples over the past about my mistakes. Every time in business I screw up and I have a bomb and it costs me a lot of money, it's because I created something without figuring out if the market was right for it, or if there even if the market existed. You know, one of my best examples of this is when me and my brother went into the sport fishing arena. You know, we created a business, and originally we were going to do the business on fishing lures because we wanted to support our very expensive fishing habit by running a business and writing it all off, you know, all of our fishing excursions. So we thought, all right, let's create a fishing lure business, and then we'll have to test these lures, so we need a big boat to do that with, and we're going to need to do it on a regular basis, right? Pretty cool business, right? So, and looking at how we did competitor analysis, and we said, okay, the most successful lure companies, how did they get there? And one of the things that they did was they had a t-shirt line. The t-shirts were how they advertised the lures. So we thought, okay, we've got to have a t-shirt line to promote our lures. When I did the market research on the t-shirts, I'm like, holy shit, there's more profit in the t-shirts than there is in the lures. So let's skip the lure business and just go into the sport fishing t-shirt business. And that's what we did. We created a line of sport fishing t-shirts that was phenomenal. We had worldwide distribution. I got the damn things in Walmart. And that was based on a bet between me and my brother. He said, I bet you can't bag the elephant. And anyway, that's a whole nother story. But the moral to this story is when we created that fishing t-shirt line, I skipped a step. I did not look at the market for what type of fish was important to the market. And what I did, I created an entire line of t-shirts, 9 shirts in total. We had like 12 different versions of each one when you base it on the color of the shirt and the size and all that. So I literally had about $250,000 in inventory of shit that wouldn't sell, because it was all the stuff that I liked, you know, and it happened to be, I liked fishing for swordfish. Well, on the West Coast, that's like the dream fish in the world. There's probably about 3 of them caught every year on rod and reel on the West Coast. And that's my thing. That's my fish elephant. So I thought, hey, I'm going to create the, the granddaddy of them all. I'm going to have a swordfish shirt. Well, I wound up wearing a lot of swordfish shirts because I couldn't sell them. I had a whole closet full of swordfish shirts, and every family member and friend that I knew was wearing swordfish shirts because I had to give them away. They made great Christmas gifts, but that didn't make a really good business model for me. And I did the same thing 9 times. It wasn't just the swordfish. It was all the top game fish that I like that are prizes. You see one of them on the wall behind me. That's my thing, but it didn't make a business because there wasn't enough things. When I teach you guys how to identify a profitable segment, it's 3 things. It's the size of the market. Is there enough people in the market to support your sales goals? I missed that one. The market wasn't big enough to support my sales goals to make thousands of shirts. Just wasn't there. So I missed the mark. And knowing what I know now, I never would have done that. That's what I mean. When you guys learn the process, you'll be able to look at business opportunities through new goggles, and you'll be able to see, should I enter this or should I steer clear? When after the first season was an absolute disaster, I was about to pack it in, and somebody said, hey, why don't you make a largemouth bass shirt? And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That's bait. Why would I do that? And I looked at the numbers, and it was very clear why I should do that. It wasn't fished in a very tiny market. It was fished by every redneck hillbilly in the country, which there's millions of them. So I created that shirt. That one design sold more than my entire inventory of 9 the previous season. That's a lesson in paying attention to your market, doing the profitable market segment. That market segment was massive, and it saved the entire business by creating things that I didn't care about, but the market did. I actually turned a disaster into a very profitable business. But I could have walked away with my tail between my legs and never learned the real lesson behind it. So again, that's just a point to, for you guys to really get, is how important this analysis is before creation. So anyway, in creation now, I've got a section. I need to redo tools here because I based this on ClickFunnels, and now we're full-fledged into Kartra. If you guys are into ClickFunnels and you know it like the back of your hand, there's no reason to switch. But anybody new, I would encourage you to jump into Kartra. And it's much easier. You need much less attachments. It's much cheaper, and it does the job very, very nicely. Next is the hook, the big idea. This is on the front end of any ad campaign. If you can't hook people and get them interested in what you've got, you're dead in the water. So that is like job number 1. Next is high demand products. You might have a product that is great, but you need to turn it into a high demand product. And there's a lesson there to show you how to do that. You can do it with almost anything. Next is the irresistible offer. Now in here, I want to show you guys a new thing that I just put in here under irresistible offer. And it's Mike Filsame, who actually makes Kartra. This guy, some of you may know him. He did a brilliant interview on crafting an offer. And it was like an hour and a half. Travis Houston interviewed him, and they got off the rails in all kind of directions. So I took that hour and a half interview and I cut it down. I cut all the fluff out of it. So this is a shortened version of that is just Mike giving his best stuff on creating an offer. So I put that in there for you guys. And then here is my video on the offer. It covers all kinds of stuff in how to create an irresistible offer. And we've also got the worksheet. There's a downloadable worksheet just to create your offer. So that's something you want to do. I want to show you also, in the hook, this is something new that I've added, is this big idea tutorial. This is a PDF showing you a bunch of different big ideas, and I break them down in the pieces and how to create that, and then I give you a worksheet to create your own. This makes the big idea creation super simple. So again, those two pieces are, big idea and irresistible offer. One of the things that you will find that really successful people say about split testing is forget split testing all the little crap that you think is important. Your offer is what converts. If you split test your offer, that's the biggest key to conversion. The two pieces, again, big idea, you've got to get them hooked or you won't have a chance to present your offer and your offer. But all the stuff about color and placement and, all that stuff, you can have a weak marketing funnel and have a great offer and it will still convert. But you got to have that hook first or you won't get anybody to see it. And then I've got a segment on copywriting. This is, how to create the right message. It's all the keys to great copywriting. Here's headlines. Headlines are mostly driven from the big ideas, so you've got to have that first. Then we talk about the structure of leads and landing pages, the sales vehicle. Typically, this will be a webinar. This is an education-based process on taking your prospect from being interested by the big idea and walking them through an educational process where by the end of it, they have come to the conclusion that you are the best solution. You are the only solution if you do it right. And you've set buying criteria where literally they can't go out and buy what you have from anyone because it doesn't exist, even if you do the same thing as everyone else. So it's how to do that. And then the order form, which is basic, but there's some pieces to it that you may not know and you may not be taking advantage of. And then we move into the final frontier, which is traffic. After you've got your funnel created, whatever you want to call it, your marketing campaign, all of your pieces, then and only then do you focus on traffic. And we cover Facebook traffic, which Anthony is our in-house expert on that. We've got pay-per-click, and then we've got my entire SEO Dominator training that has been around since 2008. Obviously, it's been updated. It's much different today than it was back in the beginning, but it's in there as well. And I am going to be adding another section to this on influencer training, how to find influencers that for no cost can get you tremendous results. And it's a phenomenal way to scale your business without spending a bunch of money. So I'll probably be doing that training here in the next couple of weeks, and that will be added in. Next, obviously, we've got our support calls. This is the call that you're on. It tells you how to get on here. It's also got a link to the video archive over on YouTube, and that's where you find that. Resources, this is where you find your bonuses. I've got Kartra training in there. And then marketing resources, like all of the stuff that I use, I put in here. And that way you know what I'm using, how to get it. A lot of them are affiliate links. If you guys are going to buy stuff, use the affiliate links. It's like a tip jar for me. So that's in there. And then the Act Apprentice. Most of you guys, unless you're in their apprentice program, you don't have access to that. All that really is a special section where we share stuff between the apprentices. I work with 8 people at a time. At any given time, I'll have 8 apprentices running. And what that is, it's me working on the program with you. I'm helping with the big ideas. I'm helping write your copy. I'm helping go through any process that you're in. I jump right in there and we get dirty together doing it. So that's what that's all about. So anyway, I wanted to go through that, make sure that you guys know how this thing works and that you really take advantage of it. All of the stuff in here, like when you're going through this stuff, I don't spend a lot of time with fluff. These things are scripted out. They're done on a PowerPoint, so I don't get off the rails. I keep to the topics. I keep to the points. Most of these are short, like this one's 25 minutes, and there is a lot of information in there in 25 minutes. It's not like an hour and a half webinar. There's very few of my videos that are longer than 25 minutes. This is probably one of the longer ones. So anyway, some of them are very short. Like if you go into the SEO Dominator training, there's some videos in there on topics that are literally 2 minutes. It's here's how to do this in 2 minutes. So again, it's right to the point. Anyway, I wanted to just share that with you guys, and we'll come back to reality. Any questions? Has this raised any questions for anybody or?
Well, John, I've been in the chat, and Ted is kind of asking, the content change, has the content changed? And I think the best way to look at it is, to me, is it's been updated. You've learned a few things from interacting with other members and current members, and you're constantly, and what we do changes anyway. Facebook changed the algorithm, whatever. So it's just the ACT program has been moved to a new platform. Yes, that is one part of it. You've made it more user-friendly. And then some elements of the content have changed because of developments in the marketplace and what's going on and how to do things like that. So the core is still there. The core is still the analysis part, create the content off the analysis, and then, drive traffic based off the analysis and the content. So that's all there, but you're constantly updating it and making improvements for the betterment of the group. And a lot of that comes from the feedback of the group. So I also want to encourage everybody to use the group, use the power of the group. I see some people are talking about their landing pages and different stuff. John, if you don't mind, and if the group don't mind, I feel this is a safe space. So guys, let's put it out there. If you got a landing page or an ad or any piece of it, have the group take a look at it. You can probably get some different ideas. You can get some different viewpoints on it. And for sure, I still go to John for a lot of my stuff too. And he sees things in a way that, I just put it out there and let him see, and he's like, okay, reworded this, and you can almost immediately see the change in value in it. So guys, use the group. I encourage you to jump out here. Don't be embarrassed to throw some of your stuff out there. Even if it's not completed, that's okay. We're all in different stages, but the whole overall goal of the group is to everybody win.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what this call is for. If you guys are stuck on something, throw it up here, show it. That's why we use the Zoom, so we can share the screen. I can see, you can put it up and we can see exactly what you're doing and help you fix it, help you fine tune it. To Ted, one of the biggest changes in the content, like Anthony said, the foundation of the ACT program will never change. It's a couple 100 years old. I don't expect it to change real soon. But in tools, that's where you're going to see the most changes. Like, for instance, I did a section in the analysis about how to use the Google Display Planner. Well, that no longer exists anymore, thanks to Mr. Google. Anytime Google puts out something really cool and we figure out how to use it, they're going to take it away from us because it's just the way they are. And the other Anthony there, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Google will only give you something good for so long, and then they're gonna take it away. And that's what they did with the display planner. And what that was, it was a way to do some demographic searches and figure out, like, of a keyword, who is the demographic that's looking for this keyword. It would give you age, it would give you gender, and it would give you like a pie to show you the demographic of who it is that's searching this particular keyword, which was really cool. And that's why I did a training on it. But now, sorry, it's gone. It's like many of the things in the past that were great are now just, they don't exist anymore. So we just have to do things differently. And one of the things I talked earlier about doing an update, a new video in the analysis section, kind of an overview video, because so many people get stuck on the tools and they get intimidated and they can't move forward. I have to tell you, most of what is done in analysis, like when I'm doing analysis, most of it is based on stuff that I actually know. If I'm working with a client, I will tap into their industry knowledge to actually get an understanding of who they work with and what they're all about, how they feel, and all that stuff. So you can get a lot of this intuitively. You use your intuition. Like whenever you're doing demographic churning, you're analyzing, you're collecting data, it comes down to an interpretation of the data. So that's what you're doing. You're interpreting data, whether it comes from Google or it comes from an online tool or it comes out of your head or it comes out of talking to people in your market. Whatever it is, what you're trying to do after you figure out, the segment, you can still figure out the segments. I gave you guys a new tool here a couple of weeks ago, the audience finder for Facebook. And that's a free tool available to all of you. It's in the resource section and the bonuses. That tool will tell you the size of the market. You can run a keyword in there and it will give you all the different groups on Facebook. It's a really good idea or it's a good indicator rather. If there's groups on Facebook related to your keyword and they're big enough groups and people are following them in that kind of fashion, that's a pretty good indicator of size of the market. So, there's just new tools. Whenever I find new tools, I put them in here. I do training on them, and I'll keep you guys up, to whatever I find. And also, if you guys find stuff, please share it on here. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the reason that I know what I know, the depth of my knowledge comes out of working with so many people. So, anything I can glean off of you, it just makes me more powerful to help everyone else, and the group itself, the things that you will learn from not only me, but others on the group together collectively, we know a lot of shit, so that's the whole purpose of the group. Some people go into mastermind groups and a lot of times I've been in a lot of mastermind groups over the years. I haven't found anything that is near as powerful as this group right here with the ideas and the stuff that has been shared in here over the years. So you guys are part of something great here, whether you realize it or not. Mariette, did you have a question? I know you unmuted there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because I'm not on my main computer. I just I kind of came on the call with a question because I ran 2 ad campaigns not really knowing what I'm doing, and I'm seeing I'm wasting hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, they get really expensive, don't they?
Because it's before the end of the year, and people have end of the year marketing stuff and employee gifts and so forth. But so in a way, I think you've answered the question that I really have to go back to the drawing board like I've done before when I was at the workshop with you had in Huntington Beach on the ACT program. But I think, so I guess my question is, segmentation is very important. I shouldn't be broad in the ad campaigns.
Yeah. See, your problem there, and this is for everybody, if you jump into running ads, that's traffic. If you haven't created, if you haven't done the first 2 steps and you jump into traffic, you're way out of sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're out of sequence in advertising, that equals expensive.
Yeah. So, I've done some of that, but I guess now that I've done it, I wanted to ask you, what should I learn? Should I look at, this is what the people are looking for, and then I should make sure that I make adjustments to what they want and when they land on a page.
Exactly. If you've spent money on advertising, what you want to do, if nothing else, you want to learn from it.
Yeah, so that's where I am. Yeah.
So you want to analyze your results always, and that's part of your education. Maybe you didn't go to school for this, you didn't spend money on school, but you just spent money on a test, and you're going to learn from it. If you don't learn from it, that's the part that's really a shame. Because you spent money for that education.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't work, that's an education.
Yeah. So, like I sell so many products, but that's why I need to promote what people want. Some of those things, right? Which I realized a lot of people, for instance, was looking for hoodies. Well, I guess so I have to put that kind of on the front line. This time of the year, I guess a lot of people want.
Yeah.
So,
Can I jump in real quick?
Can
Can I jump in real quick, John?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Man, a couple of questions. What do you said you sell a lot of stuff. So do you have like a store platform are you selling, or are you selling what are you selling, off a website or like a Shopify?
Well, John knows what I do now. I sell promotional products and imprinted apparel, and the reason for that is I customize things for companies. I only sell to businesses, so I don't sell individual. I sell in quantity for a company to then either sell it or for promotional products. So that's why I'm saying it's endless, because I customize. Yes, there's a shop, but it's more just for ideas. They typically will just send me their request after they see what I have. It's not something like you don't buy a mug or something. It's because it's their artwork and everything. So it's customized. Like when he talked about the T-shirts, I will be the company who makes those T-shirts with a fish on for John then to sell. You know what I mean? So it's customized products.
Yeah, so she's really in the manufacturing end of things.
Yes.
And then she's selling those promotional manufactured items to businesses for either promotions, incentives, things like that. It's a huge industry, premium and incentive.
But that's why I have to segment, I guess. I've listened again to what you said, and I've got to see what they want, never mind what I think is great.
Yeah. And the best advice that I could give all of you guys is do not take Thomas Edison's approach to the light bulb. You do not want to find out 10,000 ways not to run an ad campaign. It's going to be very, very expensive. It's education, but please, when you're getting your education, base it on the ACT system. You will be so much happier that you did. It will.
It's a good time to listen to your call today.
Yeah, I had several people, a couple of the apprentices actually came to me kind of frantic last week about wanting to run a Black Friday special. And I said, whoa, hold on a minute. You're ready to jump into traffic for something that you're not ready for. I said, are you running a Black Friday special because it's ready and you know it's going to work, or are you running it because you think you have to? And that was the case. They just thought they had to. And I'm like, let's not do that, please. So, and again, you don't jump into traffic. You've got to have the market. You've got to have the message. If you've got those two, then a Black Friday special is awesome. It will work great. But if you don't, you're just going to get another lesson that's not going to be a good one. So yeah.
John, I have a quick question.
John?
Yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
Thanks. How can I get my own first-party cookie? So when people hit my websites, I can track them with my own cookie and my own first-party retargeting pixel. Those are the two questions.
When you say first party, are you talking about actually creating the technology to create your own cookie, or?
Yeah, how can I get my own cookie so when they hit my sites, I can track them? I know that you can get them through ad networks. I know you can get them through Facebook.
Yes.
I think Google, yeah.
I don't really know how to that technology, so to speak, to actually develop that. What I would do,
you would have to. That's not available for purchase, so there's no script I could buy. There's no.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked into that, but you could probably go on to like Upwork or Fiverr, and just put a post out and see if anybody comes back with the, with the information. As far as like putting tracking codes and stuff, Anthony. The other Anthony, the Ant-Man up there, he actually convinced me to go a different direction that I've always gone, and that was using the Google Tag Manager. And the cool thing, I'll just give you the overview of what changed my mind was I like automation. And what he showed me was when you create the Google Tag Manager, you put one bucket on your site. It's one code. And then what you can do is inside the Tag Manager, you can edit, you can add other pixels and things in there, and it automatically updates the bucket on all the pages you've got that bucket on. So it's a real good way to automate, and then you're not wondering, hey, have I updated every page out there? Because if you update the Google Tag Manager, it does update all the pages for you.
So you have no problem with, so Google Tag Manager, you would load your money sites and your PBNs with Google, so they would know.
So here's how you
sites are.
And Anthony, so my part of my question to you wanting to create this first party is why what are you planning to use it for? So here's what happens. So the Google Tag Manager is a big container, and I'm just dumping codes in depending on what I'm trying to do and track. It's on all my pages and it's on my funnel pages. Now the platform I use, I can segment at the platform level. So on Facebook, I can have a website. And I can have I use ClickFunnels, so I have a ClickFunnels side by side with the same code on it. I can say the thank you page on the ClickFunnels is the page I want you to track. So I can tell Facebook that page with this code is a conversion page, track that. Then I can say, oh, go to my website, and on my website, I got a page that talks about waxing services. Track, when people track the code on that page, to another list. So I got the same code on all throughout, but I'm segmenting by what page people are hitting and where they're going that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess my question is having everything back with Google. Yeah, I mean, I think, John, you know where I'm coming from with this.
Yeah, yeah.
All the bodies are buried, so to speak.
Yeah, this is more, for Anthony, this is more of a concern of SEO and doing things to stay under the radar, not connecting all the dots and making it easy for Google to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So, one of the things, just while we're on the whole idea of the pixels and the tracking codes and all that, one of the things that I would really recommend that you do on stuff, even if you have to create multiple accounts to kind of segment them and have them, not all track back to the same thing, is it's AdBeat. Is that the one, Anthony, or is it? What's the name of the ad program?
Which one?
Is it AdBeat? It starts with ad.
Ads, not. God, I can't think of right now off the top of my head. You caught me doing something else. I was trying to multitask.
Oh, let me look under the resources here.
I'm doing something real quick. Here,
yeah, there's one that you should absolutely be doing.
Now the other thing, namesake Anthony, is my master. I'm using a Gmail account that is I call them minion accounts. So I got a minion Gmail account. That's where all this stuff is. So Anthony, and what Anthony does is not attached to what this minion account Jim is doing. So Jim is where I'm setting all these pixels and stuff at, and it's a whole separate account. And if some, it gives me the flexibility. If something happens, I'll just create a new one and keep rolling, that type of thing. I'm from John's old school too. So I, from day one, John was educated me to Google, and so I've been that way. And for years, I've not wanted to do stuff. I don't even log into Gmail and other things like that I've learned. So I get your behavior.
It's ad roll. That's the one. I looked. It's in the resource section. Ad roll.
I looked into that, John, and what some of my some of the content and some of the products, vitamins and supplements, they're really classified as we talked about, as high risk. So ad roll.
Yeah, that's
so that's the problem with this. So you think I could Google Tag Manager, and also you're saying that if I did go to Upwork or Fiverr, a programmer, this is not a complicated thing. A developer could fairly easily write up a script.
Yeah, okay. I think you should be able to find that. So back to ad roll for a second for the rest of you guys. I know this doesn't work for Mary Sue either because she's in the supplement business as well. And a lot of the ad companies, for some reason, there's certain niches they just don't like. But for the rest of you, one of the cool things about ad roll is when you put the pixel on, it starts tracking your traffic. And one of the awesome things that it does is once somebody gets your pixel added to their browser, it knows what other websites they go to. This is really powerful. You could go into your ad roll console and you could see, imagine if you found out, hey, 50% of my traffic goes to this one other site. You know, like let's say they're interested in some offshoot of CNN, some kind of a news station. And half of your people that are interested in your site are also visiting that site. What that tells me is how many people that would be interested in you that don't know about you are also on that site. So you can go directly to that webmaster and cut a deal to display your ad banners to their entire world of traffic. That is something no one else is doing. And AdRoll gives you that ability. So it's almost like creating inside of Facebook. Facebook does a similar thing with lookalike audiences. How would you like a lookalike audience out in the real world, outside of Facebook? That is pretty freaking awesome. And that's what that does by putting that tracking pixel, the AdRoll tracking pixel, it's collecting that data for you of where else your sites or your visitors are going. You know, you can get a little bit of that off of a tool called SimilarWeb. If you go to similarweb.com and you put your URL in there, your domain name, it will tell you other sites that your traffic goes to. I don't know how they figure that out, but they've got that data. And if you do it inside of AdRoll, it will give you a lot more specific and a lot more in-depth information on where your traffic goes.
What is a pixel, John?
A pixel is a code. It's a little code snippet that you put inside your HTML on your website. And what it does, it makes some sort of an attachment to your browser. So it's like putting a tag or a flag on a browser that's visited your page.
Okay.
So when your page gets pulled up in their browser, the pixel fires and it attaches a tag to their browser. So what happens is now that tag could be identified by ad networks. So let's say you go to an ad network and you say, I want to advertise my banners to people that have already been on my site. So then they look for the flags on the browsers, and any browser that comes across a site that will display advertising, they know to put your ad up for them.
Okay.
So that's how retargeting works. That's how people are followed around with banner ads because they went to a particular site. It was because of that pixel code or retargeting code. It's called a lot of different things. A pixel is one of the things it's called. It's not really a pixel, but for some reason that name got attached to it.
Okay.
But it's a little snippet of code is what it is.
Okay.
Hey, so namesake Anthony, I've been working on a goodie package for you, so it'll probably be first part of next week here, helping you out. First of all, I'll give you some networks that you can utilize and you know, you and Mary Sue's markets are not complicated. Once you know the rules of the game and play by them, you still can get great results and do some stuff. So we've done stuff in both of those areas. So I'm gonna give you some of that stuff and help you out. Cheryl, the three competitors you sent me just to give you some information. Bryn Brown's got about 3 million audience size on the Facebook. The John guy's got about 150,000, and then the other person, Chapman's got about 118. So you got about 3 million people that have interest with those individuals you sent to me. To just give you some idea of where to start. You could target those people. And then, Mariette, one of the other benefits of the pixel, one of the techniques that we're doing now, we call it, and it might not fit you guys' market, but I just want to give the whole group and get you guys excited. We call it hyper local. And
What?
hyper local.
Okay.
And what the technique really does is we did it for a car dealer. And basically, his dealership was in one area of town. We targeted the other dealerships in town, and we basically told the ad networks that when anybody visits is in those areas, those vicinities, we want to show them an ad. So we were targeting by zip code, and the way they were tracking that information was by the pixel that was on people's mobile browser.
Wow.
So he was selling Ford cars. You might have been over here at the Jag dealer in another part of town, but you were getting his Ford ads. We were basically trying to pull people from dealerships over to his dealership using the capability of the pixel that was on their phones and stuff.
Wow, that's clever.
All right. So anything else that anybody's come up with? Any last questions here before we wrap up for today? I do want to give you guys an update on the Rainmaker situation. We've got the new version out. It is open and available for beta testers on Android and the Windows platform. We're still doing some final tweaks on the Apple and the iPhone, but I've been running it now for about 2 months, and I don't know if you guys can see this or not. This is my phone showing my stats. You probably can't see it, but right down there at the bottom, client getting system, I never ranked for that, and I'm now ranked number 2.
Wow.
For client getting system. I've done no SEO for it. It's embarrassing. It's an old ClickFunnels page that I have up on my website that no longer even works. But the idea that program in the last 2 months has taken a page that I was not ranked anywhere for and put me number 2 for client getting system, that's pretty impressive. Especially as small as the network is on the new network, all we've got is a handful of beta testers in it right now, and it already got me that result. So that's pretty cool. I just wanted to share that with you guys. So if anybody is interested in doing a beta test and you've got an Android device or a Windows desktop, you would be eligible to get in on that and have that benefit heading your direction. So, all right. Anything else before we wrap up here?
Any comments about Amazon?
Can you hear me?
No, let Joe go.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
You got me scared with that whole pixel thing now. Is there any way to take it off my system? How do I know I have,
Oh, it's in your cookies. So if you want to clear that, you could clear the cookies in your web browser, and that would eliminate any pixels that have been dropped onto yours.
Until I get more. Right?
What was that?
Until I get more. So
Yeah, you're always going to get them. If you're browsing web pages, people are going to be dropping those cookies on you. I don't know offhand if there's a way that you can. I think there is a setting in there where you can deny cookies.
Yeah, but then you probably get limited on what you could search for.
Correct. So it's.
I got to stop visiting the porn sites, I guess.
Yeah, just kind of. You might want to get a separate computer for your alternative activities.
Oh, I never thought of that. Thank you.
Oh, pretty cool. So.
Thank you. That was good job today.
All right, awesome. I'm glad everybody got on here. And again, for those of you, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are watching this after the fact in the archive. And for those of you new to the system, I just want to welcome you guys in, and hopefully you will get the best out of this. The more you use the system, the better off you'll be. So,
all right.
Well, welcome aboard, and feel free to use and abuse us.
Before you go, John, I want to drop a seed here for next week.
Okay.
A report in the Wall Street Journal that Amazon is going to be doing similar stuff of that Google and Facebook does with AdWords. And so the thing is that to get a comment on that, on how would that integrate with our stuff, since we've been mostly Google focused, Google centric, with a little bit of Facebook here and there. But now that Amazon is coming on with their stuff, so I'll give you just dropping it there for you to
Okay. Yeah.
check out and whatnot. And I got nice responses yesterday from my account, the training account, the quick update. A wealth manager, 2 wealth managers looked at it, and I showed them the results, and they were like, I was also doing it wrong. Oh, that's what I'm bringing about. I had an error in point of view. I was going on, the account hit 8,300 after we took $1,000 out, and I was basing my percentage on the old capital. The capital was 5,300, right? So the wealth manager told me, said, no, you're wrong. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you didn't do FIO. And it was FIO. First in, first out. So essentially, we pulled out 1,000 of our capital, and therefore our account is reaching his 95% ROI since August. And
Wow.
they were still blown away. And then I showed them my every strategy is good. It's the exit rules that mess people up, and that's why I've changed my exit rules. And they actually concurred that I was on the right track on the exit rules.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, you've
Thank you.
like I said, you're sitting on top of a rocket ship. We just need to put the fuel in and light the candle.
Oh yeah. Later on, I'm even though they're rough videos, but I need to learn how. I'm going to go to Kartra on my own before I come bothering you to see how I upload videos, and I'm going to start uploading videos to Kartra. And I need two sections. One section is a free section where people can come into Tripwire. So this is what are you going to learn, how you're going to learn it, and what are the benefits. So that kind of, and then what kind of software we're going to use. We're not going to like tell them how to use the software, but what is the software we're going to use. And then when they're going to go to, let's say, learn more, to now learn how to make money, that's when they're going to get the next point says to continue on. Now you have to buy the course. Now that you know what the course is about, now you want to do it or not do it. We'll talk more about details about that Tripwire thing, but that's where I was generating to. And in this conversation tonight, thank you very much. But I figured out my niche audience is people who are 35 and older, who are making about maybe, I don't know, $40,000, $50,000 in income if more, and also then narrowed it down to zip codes to start going after the people who can pay for the course. I want to charge $997 for the course. We'll talk more about pricing on that later, see if that's a worthwhile deal.
Awesome.
He feels that I'm actually too cheap, but he wants me to sell it by $100 a month, and I said, no, that's not going to work. Yeah. All right, that's it. And I thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank everybody for being on here, and we will talk to you guys next week. Have a great week, everybody, and stay out of the rain. I know we're getting some rain out here in California, so stay dry.